So
we
for
did
those of you,
it.
yay! For those of you just joining us, we've just learned that the 27th time is in fact the charm. It's not number 3. So, but perseverance, endurance, one of the things we're going to talk about, I'm sure today, it always pays off and brings us to the best results. So thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm Holli Markwald, CEO here at Prairie Wear, and welcome to our Prairie Circle Chat, where we really bring together our communities for education and support, and just to talk to some really awesome, cool people and share the passion and love that they put into the world and bring that into yours. So with that, let's learn a little bit about everybody. Lauren, do you want to go, and then we can let Kelly do her magic?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm Lauren. I'm the marketing manager at Prairie Wear, and this is the first time I'm participating with Holly. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation and learning more about Kelly and all the awesome things that she's doing.
Yeah. No pressure, Kelly. You're like, what am I doing?
I'm being a girl. That's what I'm doing.
Well, it's pretty awesome.
All the time. My name's Kelly. I'm really a community builder. I started a global community called the Badass Lady Gang. It's a buy-in for women's running community. And we kind of like to say that we're life with a side of running. We're a very different type of fitness space. We're very anti-diet culture. We're very huge on doing the hard mental work instead of just focusing on the physical. We're big on ditching diet culture. Like, that is probably one of our core pillars of what we do, is really helping people navigate landmines and become aware of the landmines that are out there in the fitness space, because for so long, movement and weight loss were so intrinsically tied together. They were one, and they are one, to be perfectly honest. It's really hard for a lot of people to enjoy movement and figure out how to move their bodies joyfully, because at every turn there's a landmine there to smack you in the face and remind you, spend money on yourself to fit the mold of Western beauty standards. So we're out there doing the hard work.
Awesome. And I just have to question, I want to make sure I understand landmine. So is that like a perception of what we have about fitness or something like that? What would a landmine be?
Landmines can be anything from, let's say you're training for a half marathon and you're starting to feel good, right? The biggest lie about fitness and running, in my opinion, is that like the first couple of weeks like just suck. No matter what you do, they're going to be really hard and they're not going to be fun. It's because you don't have the aerobic and physical strength to enjoy it. That's what you're doing in that moment, is building it. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're with the most fun people in the world, a big portion of it's not going to be enjoyable because it's just a struggle. So the second you start to realize that you're feeling good in your body, sometimes the shift starts to focus, because there's messaging all around us. This is how you're supposed to look. This is what is ideal. This is what you should be doing. They start to creep in, and that's a landmine. So all around us, it's like a dementor sucking what feels good and turning it into, this is what you should aspire for. This is what should matter. Landmines are everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things I enjoy the most about what you're doing, or that I appreciate the most personally, is that it's just very inclusive and also supportive and encouraging. And we certainly take that approach here with our Prairie Wear team as well. It's just like anybody, everybody, all the time, and whatever works for you. And we just want to help people and get movement going, and I feel like that's an alignment between our like-mindedness of, hey, we just want to get you out there and get moving, no matter where you're at or how you're feeling that day or how you think you look or any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Just get out there and give it a try.
Belonging is something that for so many people, especially in the fitness space, in any capacity, if you are someone who is not, you don't have an athletic background, or maybe you did have an athletic background and now you're in a different stage of your life, like if you look for a reason why you won't belong, like you're going to find 20. So for us, it's really important to make sure that people who have, historically been shunned from these spaces, that they know that there's a reason why they feel like they don't belong, and we're working to change that. But it's like everyone needs to join hands and do the work, because we can't just be like, we're all so good, everything's fine. Like, that's not how it works.
Got to put the work in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, Lauren, you're here also as kind of a sit-in for Michelle, who was unable to join us, but you know her personally from your work in what she's doing in the community, right?
Yeah. So
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I joined, early 2020. I've had gym memberships, and I've tried running, and I've played sports, and I've had varied success depending on the time of my life. But early mid 2020, I think like all of us were kind of all locked up in our houses, and I needed to do something. I needed to get more active. I needed to counter some of the snacks I was having, and I joined a community center from my house because they had a pool. And what was so cool to me about this particular facility is I was used to like the big box chains of gyms and that whole vibe, and like that's fine, like that works for some people, but it was working for me less and less as I got older. I just felt I didn't fit. I felt like I was one of many, and it was sort of a one size fits all solution. And I joined this community center, which is predominantly, I would say the membership is predominantly 40 plus with a lot of seniors. And not gonna lie, it took me a little while to sort of like break into the seniors gang of ladies doing aquafit. That's what I started doing. And like they worry now if I don't come to class for a couple days, and I've had so much more success. I feel better. I feel better about my body, regardless of, like I'm not even thinking about like numbers on the scale or anything like that anymore. So it's really cool to see how this facility is constantly tweaking their programming and even the design of their spaces when they do renovations and stuff to really factor in all fitness levels and all ages, and even people who may have some health challenges or mobility challenges. And I think when you create that inclusivity, everybody wins, right? And so like I love what you're doing because it's really along the same lines of this magical place that I found where like I don't even think about being in a bathing suit in front of basically strangers anymore now, and even if I do things outside of that gym in a bathing suit, I'm not thinking about it anymore because it's helped me be comfortable. And you take that elsewhere outside of the actual exercising. So yeah, it's I think it's so important, but you do have to do the work, but it pays off in dividends 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the message I hear from both is keep moving, find your people. Those people are out there for sure. And that's the one thing that I would say I appreciate the most about social media is just that we can connect with cool people like you, Kelly. I'm in Canada and you're in Brooklyn. I say Canada is like the whole country because probably our population is similar to just Brooklyn. So I'm just saying it that way. But I just love that we can actually connect and find people that are like-minded and doing some cool things in the world through social media. So hence we're sharing this with our community here just because of that message. Like, hey, you know what? It might suck, but keep at it and keep moving.
Yeah, and find people to do it with. It's like what you were just talking about, Lauren. Like, I really like what you were saying about how your gym has different classes for different athletic abilities. It can be really frustrating and honestly demotivating to have, a class that's too hard for you that you're just trying to keep up with. And it's fine, you can make it work. But when you have a class that gives you like more breaks than the normal class, or everything's a modification, instead of you being the exception and everyone else just seems like they're running themselves into the ground and like going so hard, which there's a time and a place for that. It's fun to do if you're at that level, but even that, people do it at like an unsustainable level. It's nice to see different paces, different tempos, different types of movement, and then most importantly, like you meet these people who you really go because you want to see those people.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's that togetherness and community that you mentioned early on. And I'm super curious because I didn't get a chance to deep dive into your original Insta or anything like that, Kelly. So you guys in our community are learning at the same time that I am. what brought you to this mission? Because it's a mission. When you adopt something like this, it's all encompassing. When you say, I'm going to help people and this is how I'm going to help them, it's a mission, folks. And it's a dedication, and it takes a lot of energy and heart and passion. And what fuels that for you? What brought you here? Because it's truly amazing. I just want to say thank you for all of that hard work and passion you put into it. And what brought you here? I'm so curious.
My background is in theater. So I got my undergraduate degree in theater. And I think I've always been community driven. I've always been ensemble driven. And once I started running, I felt how isolating it was, which at first was really nice because I really didn't feel like I belonged. And I was too scared to put myself out there and try new things. And I was pretty fast. I didn't think I was fast because when I got started 10 years ago, 11 years ago, it was a very different space. We didn't have social media the way we have it today. Video was not a thing at all. All the bloggers, right? When I got started, I was a blogger. Everyone had really strong athletic backgrounds, at least the ones that I was finding. No one talked about crying on street corners. No one was really like mirroring my experience, which was unathletic. Like I didn't have an athletic background. I was a theater kid. I hated working out. The only time I ever worked out was in an attempt to make my body smaller, to be smaller in the world. And once I started sharing my story and putting myself out there, I started going to running clubs and crews, and I didn't love it. I loved one group that I found called November Project that was silly and weird and felt like recess, but it wasn't really a running club. It was like a morning fitness thing. And I found my community there, but it wasn't running. And once I started with encouragement from people at November Project I had this online community that was forming, that was building. Why not make it in real life? People were constantly messaging me like, I always see you running with people and you guys look like you're having so much fun. Like you and your gang are always having so much fun. Like, how do I find that? And I realized the only way to do that is really to build it. Mm-hmm. So for us, when we were creating our like in-person chapters in our online space, we wanted to figure out, well, what do we think isn't working out there, right? We don't want to be just another running club where we're going to go run a 5K on a Wednesday. How can we make this just as accessible to someone who wants to walk as it is someone who's injured, right? Sure. That's such a huge problem with running is if you get hurt, you lose your community. So how can we make sure that people who are injured are still able to show up and connect? So we have talking gang at our meetups. Everyone stays together in one spot and does like speed work. It feels like recess, but with running. And then online, like we just really, really have a very brave and vulnerable crew who put themselves out there, and we have really deep conversations. We say life with a side of running because yes, sometimes we talk about training, but for the most part, we're really talking about how this goal that we're chasing fits with our lives. And then all of the mental aspects of it that bleed into everything else, your relationships, your work balance, like being like self-efficacy at work is the same as with running. So being able to kind of like have this safe space with running that is, if you fail to hit your goal time of a half marathon, like it doesn't matter. You're bummed, but like, you're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose your loved one. Your contract's not on the line. So everything you learn there bleeds into your real life outside of running. So it's a really safe space to play. And we just have a really, really great crew who come to these calls every single week and like get into it together. It's lovely, but it's very different. It's hard to explain to people what we do because it's very different.
It's community building. And I love that you've reached out into all of these communities across North America. I didn't see if you're international, but you can be, obviously. And the San Diego crew caught my eye. I have a friend in San Diego, and I can tell you that I'm excited to say, hey, check this out and see what you think. And I don't know if your mind is turning, Lauren, but I was like, I feel like, do we have one in Canada? Hint, hint, international.
We have two. We've got Ottawa and Toronto in Canada.
Okay, well, East Coasters, that's okay. But what I feel is really in alignment. Sorry, that's my old girl. She just can't hear very well, and then she's like, "Is that a plane or a car?" Sorry, guys. So I think what's really in alignment and what I'm hearing is just that real want and need to help people and build community. And I know I keep saying that, you guys, but I find that it's it's just something that just keeps speaking to my heart with everything that you're saying. So it just keeps going in my mind of why we found you. And I feel like that's the connection. And it isn't just about the athleticism, it's about the connection. It's also about feeling confident in your own skin, regardless of what it looks like or how you may feel that morning, that you know what, you're going to find something that works for you, whether that's a community or for us, a bra or a workspace. You know, we were just doing a photo shoot and we use family and friends for our photo shoots, or people that we know for someone who knows, you know, our connection. And we use all different shapes and sizes and heights and whatever. And we do that for this reason. We want everybody to feel confident to go do whatever they want to do, whether that's a running crew or a swim class or a gym. It doesn't matter to us. It's that we can support them in their journey and what they want to do. And that's the part that I think that's why we found you. And I went on a bit of a tangent, but really where I was going to go is you find your people.
Yeah.
So we were talking about at our photo shoot, we're kind of an offbeat, sort of quirky crew. And we tend to find offbeat, quirky folks, you know, that are really passionate and really good about what they do. And that's sort of our vibe. And I feel, another connection. Not that you guys are offbeat and quirky, but I think that you're acceptable all. Yeah.
I think most people are. I think the older I get, like I used to, when I was younger, it was like very apparent that I marched to the beat of my own drum and was like very happy about it. But now that I've gotten older, I've realized like everyone's weird. Everyone's weird. Everybody has weird like tendencies. And like when you let yourself be like authentically yourself, everyone is like quirky and silly and weird, but like no one lets themselves be that because we live in a world that doesn't celebrate that, you know? So I think like when you find community where you can really do that and you can like let your hair down and not try too hard and just be, it is like the most energizing place. And it is like, oh right, everyone's like this. It's just it gets beat out of you when you're a kid, unless you're a theater kid where you're in an environment that's like, you're special, be special and weird.
That's true. I that perspective in terms of, I think also we just get more open to seeing people as individuals as well, you know, that it's okay to have individual traits and foibles and uniqueness, which I really love. And I'm just now reading the actual questions that Lauren worked so hard to put together, because I've just been chatting, to be quite honest, since the beginning of this, because I find what you're doing so interesting. But I think there's some really good things, which is, how do you feel that your sports bra squad movement, which I don't know if you've met Dr. Sports Bra, but you really should. She's amazing and you guys would really be a great connection. But hashtag sports bra squad, say it 5 times fast. How do you feel that movement has evolved over the last 7 years?
Where it started and where it is now are two completely different places. It really started as a body positivity movement. And the more I've learned about why so many women feel so terrified to be seen in their sports bras, I realized why body positivity is just a Band-Aid. You know, when that launched, it felt revolutionary because we were coming out of decades of everyone saying skinny is best, you know, like this is the body type everyone should be trying to strive towards. And learning about the difference between body types was revolutionary. Like no one talked about the fact that body types were genetic and that you can't change your body type without surgery. So as we learned more, it turned into more of a movement towards body image resilience and body image neutrality, helping people more understand it really doesn't matter. I don't care if you ever run in your sports bra or not. I don't care if you ever work out in your sports bra or not. I care that you are aware when you self-objectify yourself, if you're walking down the street and whatever, and you start to write narratives for other people, or you start to assume what other people are thinking about you. I care that people start to understand what fat phobia is and weight stigma, helping you understand more the root of all of the things that we're feeling on a daily basis about our weight, about our physical appearance, to really like shine a light on that boogeyman, because it's a lifelong battle. Like diet culture is not going anywhere ever. It's too powerful. It's like a multi-billion-dollar industry, like it's not going anywhere. So what can we do to really move towards body image resilience and body image neutrality so that you can have a bad body image day and know it's just a bad body image day, and you have tools that you can reach for to just get through it. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to walk around being like, my body is powerful, my body is beautiful. Like, I don't need you to pretend to feel anything you're not feeling, right? It's true, your body is powerful and your body is beautiful, but if you don't believe it, don't pretend. Let's instead ask yourself, what's making you think that? What's making you believe that? And what's making you feel that? What just happened to make that tidal wave feel like a tidal wave? That's more important. So it's definitely come a very long way from like, run in your sports bra, to like, you don't need to run in your sports bra, but like, here's some journal prompts.
Yeah. It's like growing up in the movement. So
Totally.
where you started are sure. Yeah. And also as your community gets larger and larger, you learn more.
Totally.
From other people and their perception and their experience. And I love that you're open to growth and not staying static from where you were to where you are. And I think that speaks to also what you're trying to do to create change and support and empower other people. That's
it's hard because it's unsexy. Like, the work that we're doing is not fun and sexy, and it is like, it's the reason therapy has a hard time marketing itself. Therapy did great in 2020 when everyone exploded, and then everyone had all of their vices back where they could avoid their feelings, and like, we're in a place again where people aren't prioritizing self-care and mental health, and it's like, oh man. But it's hard to do the work.
Yeah, it is. And I think what we've learned also is that movement helps. And what you're talking about is that holistic circle of, it's not just one thing, it's all those things together. So getting up and moving, finding your people, looking after your mental health. And those things are all tied and not mutually exclusive. Work is not exclusive from home. It's not exclusive from your body, from your mind. And so those tools that we learn within ourselves as you push to hit your goal running, as you mentioned, or whatever that is, it really positively benefits every part of your life. And that's for us. I know that's core to who we are as a team, is how can we help people and empower people to get where they want to be, or be cool with where they're at, or whatever that is. Like, we're down for it.
Yeah.
And so I love that that's your message. And also that we're growing and learning from the messages we get from our community. This education series is because of our community. They're like, you guys meet so many cool people. And we're like, yeah, we really do. Yeah. We meet so many people. And then we want to meet new people like yourself, because it helps us learn. Like, I wrote down, I don't know if you guys have all heard this, the body resilience and body neutrality, body image. I've never heard those terms before. I'm so out. And I love that. I love even just the neutrality. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing, but I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah. It's the resistance piece, like so much comes from us resisting stuff, but when you can just accept and dig, that's where the real work helps. So it's definitely an industry that's shaping and evolving. We've come so far since body positivity started so recently, but fitness, it's just inherently tied to weight loss and making your body look different. You just can't escape it. So it's really important that everybody's doing the work, and then like when we talk about aging, when we talk about our perimenopausal and postmenopausal women, like there's a huge subset of people. We spend 60% of our life postmenopausal, and yet like no one talks about how to support women in movement in that stage.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sure that everybody stays strong? I mean, we live so long now. We look around and everybody loses their mobility, and we know that strength and movement is like the secret sauce, and yet we live in a world that like guilts everybody into movement. It's just a broken cycle. It's so broken, and it's so frustrating.
I think what's different, I'm sorry, Lauren.
I was just gonna say, I think that even with the movement, like we know, I don't think you can find a person out there that doesn't know that moving is good. But I feel like even with like, there's even these crazy expectations on the type of movement you're supposed to be doing. And if you're not here, well, then you might as well not, you're not trying hard enough. Or like, I have crummy knees. I will never be a runner. Like I've wanted to, I've tried. It's not my jam. I've accepted that or whatever. But it's really easy to get sucked into the, I need to be doing these types of fitness classes. I need to be doing this. And if I'm not, it's not good enough. And I think for a lot of people, that's, as you were saying earlier, landmine, right? You give up because you're like, well, I'm not here. And I know, like, especially as we age and, you know, some of the ladies that I work out with or whatever, they're clearly not buying into that because they're out there every day. But it's like, how do we make everybody feel that way? You know, before they hit that, you know, I'm 75 and I don't care anymore. Like, they're like, how do you get that message that you could be having the worst day, even if you go for a walk or whatever, that's great, right? I feel like there's a lot of that perfection, even in how we're supposed to be moving, that's expected.
I think it's community. I think it's things like this. I mean, one of my walking buddies is 90 years old and she walks every single day, and it's just a joy to spend time with her. So she knows in her body that movement is important every single day. And she does wear a hugger, folks. I will say I didn't pressure her into wearing it, but you've probably seen her on our Insta, because I'm genuinely inspired by people that dedicate themselves to movement, and also something that they know gives them the reward of, I'm losing my words because I'm trying to make it perfect, but really, I just love that she walks every day.
It's finding the things and knowing that like what's working right now might not work in 3 years or 2 months or 5 months, you know, staying open to trying different things. In terms of like longevity, like the only one we know that is like really great for women is strength work and lifting. Like we know for a fact that we all should be doing that and figuring out how to make that a part of our routines.
Yeah.
It helps with bone density. It helps with, you know, like muscle and making sure that you're not going to lose lean muscle mass when you enter into perimenopause or postmenopause. But that's just a piece of it. The other bigger pieces of it are like the community ones, the group classes. And then it just needs to be accessible. You don't need to be going to these crazy boot camp classes that like make you feel like shit. You don't need to be going to Orange Theory or like all these other classes that are really anaerobic, meaning your heart rate's really high and you're doing all these high intensity intervals every single time. Like there needs to be variety. And at the end of the day, you need to enjoy parts of it. You know, whether that's being with people, maybe you don't like the movement piece of it, but you love doing it with other people and you really like how you feel after. You just need that. You need to figure out those things. Because if there's one thing we can all rely on, it is that like movement is most of the time not going to be something that we are like, oh my God, I get to go work out. Like, yeah, like that's not going to be the reality every single day. Every once in a while, yes, maybe more than often than not, maybe, but probably not.
That's true. I was thinking, but mine has changed, you know, it being in menopause, my CrossFit days, although some people, we just had a 70-year-old post, she's a CrossFit instructor. Awesome. That's not my body anymore. So I'm definitely into more yoga and hiking these days than I was before, but that's my jam. You know, that's really works for me. And if it's Orange Theory or Aquafit or running, we're down for it. Like, that's what you love. And I think you answered kind of the last question that I wanted to leave all of us with, because we are already at a half an hour. It goes so fast. I mean, when you're talking to cool people, it just like zooms so fast. But what I wanted to leave everybody with is some knowledge of what do you do if you don't know what to do? And I think you've answered a lot of that, which is look within your community, check out what's out there, see what gives you some interest. Is there anything in particular that you could add to that that you guys have found with your community? Like, how do people find people like you?
I think the best part about things like TikTok and Reels right now, and the scariest part, is that they know what you want and they're going to show you. They're going to show you what's going on around you. They're so geo-targeted. which is both a blessing and an absolute terror. That's so scary. But scroll. You're going to find stuff that's going on around you. And really all you need to do now is start Googling like stuff in my area, meetups in my area, events in my area, whether it's a walk, whether it's a run, whether it's a swimming club. You know, like Chicago just had this Swim Fridays that just had to get canceled because thousands of people were showing up. You know, like there's so many grassroots movements if you don't belong to a gym. But if you do belong to a gym, talk to people. Ask people in classes, like who's doing what. Talk to the people on your block. Talk to the people in your neighborhood. Find out what everyone's doing because there's so many different ways to move. And if you can find an accountability buddy and someone who actually genuinely likes what they're doing, even if you don't, it's infectious. You will probably learn to love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well said. I think with that, that's a really good welcome to our Prairie Circle Chat. And thanks everybody for joining us. So get out there and get some movement and find your community and find the Kellys that love what they're doing and inspire others. And we're so thankful to have you with us today. Just love your light.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Awesome. And if you guys have any questions or thoughts, definitely send it to us. We're happy to refer you out. You can also check out Kelly, hashtag, I'm going to say it wrong because I don't have my glasses on, Badass Lady Gang and Sports Bra Squad. And if you guys have any ideas or people that are like, this person is so inspiring to me, let us know. We love to find those people and talk to them and learn about their world. So thank you for joining us and wishing you guys a great rest of your week.
See you later.
Bye. Thanks so much.